Yes, it's time for some Get Out and Grow and a little bit of this as well. Let's find the right slide here, shall we? Where are we? Overlays are what I'm looking for. And it's this one. Look, the gardening Q&A. Lee McGrady and the Fresh Air team here every Monday evening, just after 6:15. Play the lovely theme tune there from Garvo Austin, who made that video. Time for Getting Out and Growing with the Happy Homesteaders. And just about to bring Lee onto the screen, but I think he's gone to the fridge. John Agate is here from the Fresh Air team.
Hello. Oh, Anna's back.
And here's Lee back in his seat now.
Everybody, yes.
Yeah, and I think Lee had an apprentice before who should have been sent for the beer, but I think Lee's gone to get it for himself. That's not how it's supposed to work, Lee. Anyway, we welcome your questions and we welcome your hellos. The first one in this afternoon from Louise. Yes, here we go. Louise está aquí. Hola, boa tarde a todos. And thank you very much for your pictures, Louise. While Anna's getting all the questions ready, and whilst you might have a question in mind yourself for the Q&A team here under the guidance of Head Gardener Lee McGrady, who actually we should check in with first. So how's your day in Lisbon, Lee?
Oh, it's been busy, Carl. It's been busy. It's that time of year. Everything's growing. Everyone wants something doing.
Yeah.
So it's just good fun. Good fun, busy, dry. Can't beat it.
And nice to get back. Put your feet up and have a beer at the end of the day. Very good. Okay. And Devonians, I know that somebody spoke highly of Devon in the comment threads in the group. I think to you, John, right? You were asking a question about Devon. How is Devon this afternoon?
Well, it's, as the person said, it's a very nice place to live, or very nice. But the thing is, at the moment, last couple of days, it has been rather wet.
Right.
So, yeah, but obviously, from my post, well, anyone who's seen my post will know that got me to thinking about having to bring the plants in when it's rainy or really windy or really cold and anything like that. And I thought, well, why not maybe have some advice on the best places to put the plants inside when those things happen, or any stories, interesting stories that have happened when putting plants indoors, or anything like that through the show. So if you have any of those stories, maybe you could either put them in the post I'm talking about, my post, or put them in the comments for this show in the Facebook group or on YouTube. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Agate. Very good. And it reminds me there, because you have got quite a way about you, quite a sort of theatrical way. And you've learned how to use and project your voice in a thespian manner. I believe you've a recent role to share with us, the third voiceover role that you've done. And it's somewhat connected, isn't it, with what we're talking about here in some ways?
Well, in a way, yes, because it's about climate change and plastic and just general pollution, really. And yeah, so actually it might be worth sharing that in the group, which I might go and do now, actually, because
that'd be great, John. That'd be great for other people to see the theatrical side of yourself there, and you're available for other bookings, I suspect, as well, aren't you?
Well, possibly, yeah. So I'll just let Anna say how her week is now and what gardening she's been doing.
Any rain damage stories? Because there's been plenty of it in Devon. Anna, how has your week been in Devon?
Yeah, it's been pretty busy. I went to my dad's yesterday, with it being Father's Day, and yes, I had a good look around the garden. I'm not absolutely sure what the particular make was, but my dad being quite a fan of growing sweet peas as well as vegetables, it was not a great year for sweet peas. I think compared to the sort of level they're usually growing at by now, I think they were pretty much half the height up the garden canes in the sleeper bed, I think, this year. So yeah, not sure if it was the make of sweet peas or if it was just the weather conditions this year. So yeah, it didn't quite work for the sweet peas, but yeah, the garden's looking really good there, and the pond's looking a little bit naturally green, but yes, all the wildlife's doing well there, and garden here is growing at a rate of knots and doing pretty well. Lots of colour out, and just in full summer mode at the moment, and it's been quite warm as well. I think at most it's been near 20s, I think, here in Devon, and currently about 13 and raining, it's saying on my smart screen. So it's been quite a mixed sort of summer at the moment, but yeah, all good.
Yeah, a shame about the sweet peas. Among, for me, the most beautiful of the growing things in the garden. Sweet peas are fantastic. They look great. They smell great. They got an amazing structure to them as well. Pretty hardy in a way, but they look so delicate. So thank you for your update, Anna. And talking of ponds, I saw this and I forgot to share it last week. And this is the age-old, is it a frog, is it a toad? This little guy, I mean, I didn't get to see him. And Lee, you chimed in with that post. Frogs walk and toads hop, or is it the other way around? Frogs hop.
Mate.
Am I ever going to get this? All right, because the thing about this guy, he lives down a little hole, and I thought he'd got so fat eating flies and stuff down the hole that he couldn't get out. So, and we were wondering whether just to leave him alone to find his way out, or to help him out and turn it into some sort of rescue mission. But I actually think he's going to be okay. But this is like looking. You would think this was in a wall, looking at it at that direction, but he's actually down a hole in the floor. A concrete post or something must have been in there, and that's where he lives. And he seemed very happy. And every time he heard us, he would come to the edge of the hole, have a little look, and he seemed quite unafraid of us. But I think we're probably looking at a toad there, aren't we? A walker.
It's a toad.
Yeah. All right.
It's a toad.
All right. So sticking with the wildlife of Portugal, we have a snake skin. Look away now if you're not keen on snakes. This is a full cast snake skin from Louise. Thank you, Louise. From Louise's collection today, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think that might be the ugly. I suspect there. Here's the good, a beautiful shot of some blooms in the garden from the plot that they've been working on that we had a little nosy around last week, which was fantastic. And some clearing going on. Look at this. Some good work there. That looks pretty back-breaking, but some great progress. Isn't that great?
Yeah, some graphs there.
Good progress in Central Portugal. Thank you so much, Louise, for that. So any questions, folks, do let us know. Tom S. is here from Ohio. Isn't that amazing? Boa tarde, Ohio, over there in the United States. Fantastic. Pomegranates. It's not a random comment. I think those were the flowers there, the pomegranates. Thank you very much. Paul, Louise, how's it going? Yeah, you say it's been raining on and off. You've been dodging showers all day over there near Celta in Portugal today. Do excuse me. Right, so Anna, let's see if we've got any questions to catch up on. We did lose you, didn't we, Lee, last week? What happened?
Oh, just a big power cut. I'm not sure. There was a boom, and then all the power went, and the Wi-Fi here is shocking anyway. So there was no chance. Once it had gone, it had gone. So I apologise for disappearing.
Not at all. Not at all. We left a few things hanging there. Go on. Sorry, mate. What?
I have a bit of wildlife news.
Oh.
We had dead mink in the street this morning. When I got out this morning, right outside the gate, a dead mink had been hit by a car. Oh, proper squished. Yeah, we weren't there yesterday.
Right.
So mink on the doorstep.
Are you a kind of roadkill kind of guy or not, or did you leave it for someone else?
I've been known to pick up the odd flapping pheasant.
Really?
Yeah, I'm very occasionally I've swerved to hit them because apparently that's legal.
They're not swans, are they? They're not protected by Her Majesty. Okay.
But not mink, no. I don't think I want to nibble on a mink. No, there's not a lot of meat on.
Yeah, I don't think Lilia, who we saw earlier on, will be too keen on roast mink, especially. It's probably not a lot of meat on it anyway. Apologies to any vegetarians watching or people who are not fond of the roadkill habit. I mean, others. I think in America as well, people are big on roadkill, and it's all a question of how long you dare come back to something. It needs to be warm, ideally, doesn't it? And then the thing isn't entirely wasted.
I drove past a military base on the edge of Dumfries and Galloway 10 years ago. And the car in front of me hit a roe deer and span it round in circles. And I ate that the same night.
Did you?
Oh,
So
it was
you're
gorgeous, Cal.
so you're not averse to a bit of butchering as well. You've done that, have you?
In my time, yes, yeah, I've done my first job. My first job was in a butcher shop.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you knew what you were doing. You knew that's pretty manly, I have to say, and pretty that's some serious wild man alpha male sort of skill going on there. Quite incredible. Venison for tea up there in Scotland. Pomegranates have a lovely bright orange flower at this time of year. Okay, then the fruit in October looks like red baubles on a Christmas tree. And I have to say, Louise, it's amazing. Pomegranates if you've eaten them in UK as a kid, and you're used to some dried up old thing that you have to pick out with a cocktail stick or a pin. Here we go. We'll zoom into Lee's pomegranate tree. This is how they're looking. That's a bit like the picture you sent us. Beautiful.
I don't know if you see that, but I've got the first bit of fruits coming on as well.
And aren't they incredibly juicy? Were you surprised, Lee, when you first tasted a pomegranate in Portugal compared to what you did as a kid?
I don't like them. I don't eat them.
All right. I'm thinking venison and a nice pomegranate sauce, but no, not for Mr. McGrady. Okay.
The kids love them.
Yeah,
but,
they're delicious.
It's not for me.
A very great fruit, and the fruit's happening, and we've had some amazing apricots and plums over here on the Silver Coast already. Delicious, absolutely delicious, and you can't leave them too long. They've got to be eaten, haven't they? And there's so much at the moment. Go on, Lee.
I've got the plums have fallen off the tree. We can't eat enough of them.
Yeah,
they're lying on. I cut the grass this morning, and at 8 o'clock, I think I killed 10 of them on the lawn. I just mowed all of them.
Oh, did you?
There's that. Yeah.
Turned it into
there's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Hundreds of them.
And actually, that takes a bit of getting used to when you first come to Portugal as well. When you see so much citrus on the floor, you're thinking, how can people do that? But it's just, I mean, they're the equivalent of acorns or conkers, aren't they? It's just like all surplus to requirement.
Well, we're quite lucky here to have several citrus trees. And last year, I was just putting them in baskets on the road. We have that many of them. We couldn't juice them. We couldn't eat them enough.
Yeah.
So we were just putting baskets out on the street, and they were just going. They were just going every day. We had the same. Got quite a large traffic flow here at the front, so people were just stopping and picking them up. It's
Perfect.
lovely.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
That's how it should work, and I bet the surfers around your way loved them as well. Excellent stuff. Yes, Costa Caparica, right?
We're out on the road to Fontatelia. We're 2 minutes from Fontatelia.
Love that part. Yeah. So are you sorry about this, everyone else, for a moment, but are you near Araoera?
Yeah, exactly where I am. Yeah,
lived at Araoera for a little while. I had great fun there. Amazing. Marcus Velboin's here. Hello, Botard, for you guys. Hi, Marcus. Great to have your company. So, Anna, over to you for a few questions then, and maybe catch up where we left off. Actually, before you go there, we're still talking about venison and pomegranate sauce. Botard, venison and pomegranate sauce. Question for Lee: which herbs are easy to grow in a pot in the apartment? I seem to kill them within the first few days. So, these are the favourite culinary herbs for Frank here, for use directly in his kitchen. What's going to work well on the balcony or on the kitchen windowsill?
Well, I don't know why he's killing them, because 99% of herbs would do absolutely fine on his balcony. I can show you my little herb bed actually, which should surprise people.
Yes, it's probably the Coimbra.
We have such a we keep a bit of a. I'm trying to get that in the camera because I can't flip my camera. Which way am I going?
That's all right.
Can you see this?
Yeah.
This is done in 1.5 inches of soil. Under that is just concrete.
Wow.
And it's just a full herb bed. So there's no excuse really not to manage with herbs. They'll grow in really bad conditions. They'll go in tubs, pots. You can grow them in plastic water bottles if you just put some drain holes in the bottom of them.
Yeah.
We also have an apartment on the other side of the river. And I grow them on the balcony there without any problem at all. So yeah, I think if you got them in containers, they need to be watered every day because the heat here it just dries everything out.
That's probably
and if you miss a day, they're going to struggle. If you miss 2 days, they're going to die.
Okay.
So it's just regular watering. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he thinks it's the Coimbra weather. which is killing everything, including his enthusiasm at the moment. Just ask Munson. Frank, this will be a long and distant memory at some point. Both the Coimbra weather is gonna warm up, and you'll probably head into the Algarve. So it's all going to be. We'll laugh about it one day, I promise you. And from a North American point of view, the basil, as you say, might be a bit of a challenge for you. But basil is a bit temperamental in it, Lee.
Are we saying basil or are we saying basil?
Well, for him, so that he can understand us, we can say tomato, oregano, and basil, which is the sort of language Frank would understand.
Basil does like to bolt if you don't pick it regular. You've got to pick it regular to stop it from bolting.
Yeah.
It's the same with most herbs. The more you use them, the better they're going to be. Again, we don't use ours enough. Ours is more ornamental than it is actually for edibles. Because we don't pick it enough because we don't use it enough. Yeah. But the proper herb gardens, they're trimmed and trimmed. So the more you use, the better the plant will be. Okay.
All right. So there you go. He's not happy with me at the moment. Whatever, Carl, says Frank there. And Parker, she said, Amoreiras has a beautiful weather as well. Speaking about the weather here in the north of Portugal. So that's where Marcos Senhor Valbon is, and Casa Valbon is up there. Sorry, Anna. I asked you about some questions, and that was ages ago, so forgive me.
That's right. We've got, I've noted about 5 down from the group, and I slightly lost track of questions that people I know who asked me. I think I possibly wrote down some and possibly misplaced my notes somewhere, but I've got one on runner beans, and I have one to do with the pear tree. And I suppose I could start with I was going to say an easy one, if it is easy, from Alex Myons up in Wiltshire. This one's pear tree related. What causes leaf curl? Is it fungus or insects?
This time of year, I would suspect it will be insects. Later on in the year, with humidity coming in, I suspect that will be the fungus. But it can be both, and it can also be what it's planted next to. If it's planted near a peach tree, then that could be the peach tree leaf curl that's affecting the plum trees as well. Oh. I would need to see the leaf, and I would need to see the tree itself and how it was. A lot of plum trees.
I haven't got any pictures, I'm afraid.
If you plant a plum tree up against a wall, as it is kind of traditionally some places in England, then I would say that was the fungus. If it's an open tree, then I would suspect it might be the insect. But without looking, without seeing the leaf itself, it would be a guess. Sorry. But the treatments aren't that far apart. If you pick off the first leaves that you see coming through, when they start to get this, they don't curl immediately. They get little bubbles on the leaf. If you notice that straight away, you can start picking them off, and it prevents it from spreading into the tree. And that works both with the insect and with the fungus as well. And a regular wash off with a fruit tree wash, and then a feed with a proper fruit feed should help the tree to recover to enough to produce fruit. So if you want to send me some pictures directly, that's fine. I'll have a look at the photographs from the leaf and give a better answer.
And we encourage that, don't we? Here, if you've got a question, use the WhatsApp hotline to the studio. Same for all the shows, and that will be what's on the screen now. Excuse me, and even call on that number if you wish to. Except for Frank moaning about me. 913-590-303 is the number to send pictures to, or to call in 00351, the country code, if you want to call from outside of Portugal. Lots of comments and questions. Paul and Louise, garden highlights, eating the produce the minute that it's picked. The taste is fantastic. And that's a direct response, Anna, to the wonderful question you asked in the group. What would be the gardening highlight of your year and why? And that is a really great answer, because that is what part of what's so special in it about growing your own. is straight off the tree, the bush, the plant, whatever, or picking the herbs if you can manage to keep them alive, and put them in your food, and just having that satisfaction it is a great, not only satisfying, it's revolutionary, I think, as well. It's a political act as well when you're doing that. Fantastic. So any more answers to that? Great question, Anna. Go on, Lee, what was that?
It is revolutionary. It is a political act. The more we can look after ourselves, the less we need government.
Yeah.
And especially in the last year, 2 years that we've had, people should be seeing the opportunity to be more self-sufficient, not just in their work life, but also in the home life and the producing their own food. Yeah. And I think if anything good comes of this China virus, it will be that people have learned a little bit more about how easy it is to produce food for their own table and not relying on Tesco or Continent as we have over here.
Yes.
It annoys me. It annoys me. It always has annoyed me.
I'm sure, yeah. But you know, we're suckers for convenience, aren't we, the human race? So even when people have got fruit grown on their own trees, you know, I bought some oranges today from a supermarket because my kids wanted to buy those really tasty oranges that they had before, and there's fruit falling on the ground in the same garden. This is where we're at, isn't it?
But it's more convenient to do a line of lettuce than it is to drive to the Continent to buy some lettuce.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, we've got lots of lovely lettuce.
If you get your timing right, if you get your preparation right, then it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science.
Unless you're actually growing rocket, and then it absolutely is rocket science. But that's a notable plant exception.
There was a bit on the news yesterday about Tesco going full automated checkouts.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's just another reason not to use a supermarket.
Yeah.
It annoys me. It annoys me. Yeah,
I can understand. No, absolutely understand it. I mean, taking people's jobs away to that extent is rubbing our faces in it, without a doubt. And interestingly, you know, people are asking, you know, what are good things to invest in at the moment in a somewhat uncertain world? Should it be gold? Should it be Bitcoin? And people have their sort of relative opinions on those. Seeds would be a good investment, wouldn't they? And learning how to garden, wouldn't that be the most brilliant thing? Because you can't eat gold and you can't eat Bitcoin, as far as I'm aware.
Seed and land. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And here, Tom, thanks for this in Ohio. My aunt in Iowa wouldn't eat corn unless she picked it in the last hour. Now, that is hardcore homegrown, isn't it? Like, it's stale if it's more than 60 minutes old in Iowa, by the sound of it. As soon as you pick the corn, the sugars start turning to starch. So given that a lot of us would have eaten sweet corn cobs that are like a week or two old in the supermarket, can you imagine how sweet and tender it would be straight off the cob within an hour?
It's the same with peas. It's the same with peas. It's a different food source. If you pick it and eat it straight away, compared to anything in a tin or that's been processed, or that even if you buy fresh peas from a supermarket, picking them in your own garden and eating them straight away, it's a different taste. It's a different quality of food. Yeah,
different quality of life. 0 food miles too, Louise is saying. That's absolutely true too, isn't it? So an all-round win. Yeah, brilliant, Louise. Okay, so straight in with a question. Hold the questions.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, no, John, please. Sorry, I didn't see you there with your hand up. That looks urgent.
I was just going to say as well, another benefit of this growing your own food is, of course, because we keep hearing about sort of overpopulation and there's too many of us, and all about, are we going to have enough resources for all the people and so forth. But actually, growing your own food, that makes that less of an issue, because you're growing your own, so you're not going to all these big farms and that. So presumably that becomes less of an issue as well.
You're absolutely right, mate. I mean, and taking this garden, and I'm sure it's representative. When you grow your own, there's always too much, isn't there? There's you know, unless you're really bad at it.
There's never too much, because you swap it and change it with neighbours, and you become a cooperative, and then you end up with my old allotment in Rochdale. there was guys that kept chickens, guys that kept goats, guys that had ducks, guys that grew vegetables. You never wanted for anything. If you had too many tomatoes, you swapped them for eggs. If you had too many cabbages, you swapped them for a chicken. You know, there was never an obscene amount of food left over. It was always exchanged and swapped.
Yeah, perfect.
Me being a professional, I would always end up with too much firewood, and I, you know, you could never have too much firewood because that provided everything. I could swap it for come winter time.
Yeah.
So those micro gardens,
pyromaniacs.
Those micro gardens turn into micro farms, and then you rely less on the big cooperatives and the big farmers, the big supermarkets. It's got to be a lesson learned.
Yeah. Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so. In the adversity of the last year and a half, that's because you're probably not going to hear about it either, are you? That urge that some people have acted upon to start growing their own food, and this program itself is a response to that. Get out and grow. That's the message, and to connect up happy homesteaders with all the know-how that they might need. Naomi Rowan is asking: are there any vegetables that struggle in Portugal in particular? Or is it pretty similar to growing veg in the UK? What would you say about that as a generalisation there, Lee?
As a generalisation, everything struggles in Portugal because of the lack of water. And it's too hot. We have the polar opposite problem to England.
Okay.
In England, you're begging for the sunshine. In Portugal, you're begging for the cloudy, overcast days with a bit of rainfall, so you're not turning your sprinkler systems on.
Yeah.
It's a polar opposite. We don't seem to suffer the same with the carrot fly here as what they do in England, which I always struggled with in the north of England. And the carrot fly was a killer. We had to raise beds and we had to try everything against it. Here, the carrots won't stop growing. But yeah, everywhere has its benefits. But we want the opposite here than what you want in England. So.
Yeah. And the sunshine, of course, just tends to make everything grow quicker and sweeter, doesn't it? Louise is chipping in with that. Most things grow in Portugal, growing season much longer than the UK and about 4 to 6 weeks in advance. To Naomi, for instance, an example here: beans planted 2 weeks ago already. Wow, over 30 centimeters. Isn't that great? And Marcus, actually going back to the parasite thing. The palm tree fungus, which I only found out about myself this weekend. He said earlier on, many palm trees have fungus eating inside the palms, and I understand it has a terrible smell as well. That the little bugs inside start eating it. And
I'm going to say, it's not a fungus. It's not a fungus, is it? It's a beetle.
It's a beetle that's right, and it's young. Eat the inside of the tree, and it stinks. So yeah, many Portuguese palm trees are dying very fast. It's a shame. So it's the dieback and the Dutch elm of Portugal in some ways, and some people have been ordered to cut down their palms.
We're quite lucky that it's being recognised so quickly, and there is treatments for it.
Yeah,
there's some great insecticides on the market at the moment that are dealing with it fantastically.
Great.
But the big bit of advice is not to prune your palm tree, because I believe, and it's only from a limited knowledge, that pruning your palm tree at the wrong time of year can actually send out an aroma that attracts the beetle. So this is very new to everybody. It's been talked about in a couple of specialist groups. So there's some people that are doing sort of a trial and not pruning at all, and waiting for the dead of winter to do the pruning, and leaving those blackened and darkened leaves on just to see if it makes a difference.
Very interesting. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
We'll see how it pans out.
All right, good shout, John. We need to get back to the questions just very quickly from Tom. The climate in Portugal is similar to Southern California. This, of course, is the California of Europe. Warm and sunny in the summer, not much rain, unlike the UK. Yes, Tom S, absolutely. Anna, sorry, go on. Back to you with the questions.
That's right. I realise we've got 5 from the group, but I've got one from Mum. We tend to grow runner beans on the patio. We've got like a wooden fence, and I was going to say veranda. I don't think that's the right right word for it, but sort of fencing. Basically, the runner beans have had it due to slugs and snails. Is it too late to plant more if they are still
No.
available to buy? And are they likely to produce any beans?
It's not too late to plant them. No, go ahead, find them, plant them, they'll be fine. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I was going to ask the same question for Portugal. Obviously, if it's okay for UK, it's going to be fine for me to plant a few beans as well.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to make an omelette with beans.
next week, so.
Oh, good, excellent. Yeah, I've got to get my chickens over. Our chickens are being looked after. I'm building the pen and the house for them, and I cannot wait to make a fresh omelette with some beans. I love like really crunchy beans in an omelette, and I can't wait for that combo straight from the garden. Maybe with a bit of basil. I take Frank's recommendation on that. Go on, back to you, Anna.
Carl, if you think about starting, so find a shady spot for them, mate.
Okay.
Don't put yours in. Anna, put yours in direct sunlight. Carl, find a shady spot.
Okay, all right. Because they're not going to like this the intensity of the heat of the sun now, but they're going to like the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Back to you, Anna.
I think we're on to the group ones now. I think we've got one on. I believe we have got one on neem oil. It's just from, I believe, Catherine in East Algarve. I think needs a formula to spray on fruit trees. The leaves have curled up and they have ants on them as well.
This could actually tie quite well with the previous question about the plum and pear trees and the peach trees. Yeah. Neem oil being used as an insecticide. I personally don't use it. I use professional branded liquids, but I know a lot of people that swear by it. So it's, let me get this right, it's 5 milliliters of neem oil to 1 liter of water to 2 milliliters of washing up liquid, mild washing up liquid, or mild soap.
Cheap stuff.
Not the strong stuff. Yeah, well, yeah, cheaper the better. Yeah, the mild stuff. Apparently it works brilliantly, and a lot of people swear by it. So it's 5 milliliters of neem oil to 1 liter of water, and then you add in 2 milliliters of washing liquid, dishwasher liquid, or there's a green soap that you can buy here that you can mix up yourself.
Yeah. But
Yeah. The mild washing liquid works fine. It's only 2 milliliters of washing liquid.
Great. Now John's got that look on his face. John's got that look on his face when he's got a joke here. Is it true, John, that you call this the Star Trek cure? And why?
Yeah, all the Leonard Nimoy.
Oh dear. Okay. That's one you won't forget. That you'd like to forget but won't. Anna, sorry, back to the questions. Thank you, John.
Well, just one more thing. It's been banned in Canada.
What, Star Trek?
No, neem oil is illegal to use on trees in Canada.
Really? That's
God knows why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I presume it's because people make their own mixes up and it all goes terribly wrong. But in Canada, you're not allowed to do it.
Yeah, well, that's I don't like to hear about things like that where the homesteaders are being challenged. But anyway, go on, Anna.
So that was just so I work on which ones was next. We have one which is
I'm just going to get the charger. Just one moment, Anna. I'm going to charge.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to some comments while that's on, Anna. While Lee's getting his charger. Just planted out first sowing of Feijoal Helder, Portuguese flat beans and French beans, and have done a second sowing ready for planting out in 2 to 3 weeks' time. Okay, so we're right in the middle of a beautiful bean season then. That's very encouraging for me. Thank you for that, Louise. And Louise is straight on it for Tom S here. When is the last freeze in Portugal? And Louise answering, last freeze was in late March in South Central. That's a different idea altogether. It's South Central in California means something very different to South Central in Portugal. But there you go, Tom. Last freeze was in late March here in Central Portugal. And yeah, Head Gardener McGrady is back with the charger. You'd think you'd have a solar panel, wouldn't you, being a gardener and everything?
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. There's a Christmas idea. So we've got honeysuckle to go to, have we, Anna?
Yeah, I was just having a look at the questions we've got. Yes, I actually forgot to write down the honeysuckle one. I was looking at the yes, there's one on wanting to know a bit more about the growing area in Portugal and any suggestions for resources.
What's that? What's the question again?
It was one in the get growing. I think it was a question. It was something to do with getting to know the growing area in Portugal. And any suggestions for resources?
Oh, as in manuals and guides, like permaculture guides.
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
See it. I did see it. Yeah. In the States, they have a book, an annual, a yearly edition of book that breaks the country down into different units, and then gives the growing periods for each unit because it's such a big place.
Yes.
I think the question was directed towards, do we have something similar in Portugal? And we do. It's called the internet. You don't cut trees down to make it as well. Sorry, that was a bit too sarcastic.
That's not like you.
Portugal is broke down in a very similar way, and areas do have area codes, but we do it more with the weather, the frost, the fire risk, and things like that taken into account. So when he arrives to Portugal, he can simply look online. It's all the information there from the government. Breaks everything down for growing seasons, growing periods. I can't remember what the actual word is for Portuguese, and I don't speak Portuguese. But I'm sure he won't struggle at all. And as for accessing seeds or seedlings, he'll have no problem. In every town I've visited, in every place I've been, there's been a market, and local people know when to buy and plant local produce. And the seedlings only really come into different areas as it's necessary. There's no real abundance here. We don't sell tomatoes in December. They're only really coming to sale when it's time to plant them. So that's a great indicator as well.
And it never went out of fashion, did it, Lee?
Well, I would actually suggest as well, you did what we talked about it way back at the very beginning of keeping a diary for himself and experimenting. So when he gets here, if he feels it's ready for the peas going in, put the peas in, keep a diary, see how they go, and refer back to that the year after and the year after, rather than relying on, because of climate change, everything's up in the air anyway. So it's always good to have your own documentary history of how you grow and what time you've planted in the past.
That's a lovely idea, and I'm imagining like well-thumbed diaries that are a bit muddy and a bit sat on, and maybe they've been watered from time to time as well. But seeing your scrawlings from the year before or 2 years before, we say, put the beans in now, didn't go so well, or this went really well. What a lovely thing! And then putting down some of the recipes even, and having that as a little reminder. How fantastic!
I've still got some of mine from 1987, 88, 89, early 90s. They're back in the UK. They're not here with me in Portugal, but I keep thinking about them, and one of the few things I miss. Looking back at my old diaries. Yeah.
Oh, when you get them, mate, a few screenshots on Facebook will be fantastic in the group.
No, because my handwriting's shocking.
Dr. McGrady. All right, Anna, over back to you because we've got a couple more minutes to go.
We've got one from Alan on from the Get Growing group on seeds and seedlings. I think this is a three-part question. Right time to sow indoors. I think it's planting seedlings in general. and I think this one was linked to sort of the moon phases as well. I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, that was good.
I'm just trying to remember that question in a bit more depth. That was all I noted down at the time.
And that's a great question. I mean, we were on a little bit of a giggle, weren't we, before? This is Midsummer's Day, and I asked Lee if he was going out maypole dancing or anything. I know that's the wrong time of year, probably. For this is not about fertility right now, is it? This is the middle of summer, and you're not much of a pagan in the garden. So I'm guessing as well, you don't do the old anthroposophical thing like planting by the light of a full moon with an upturned staghorn nutrifying the soil with a mix that you've made on the waning moon.
With your own urine.
With your own urine. Yes, of course. And blood, maybe. I don't know. That's a no, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a no. And I know a lot of people that do, and I know a lot of people that have success with it, and good luck to them. But it's not my forte. No.
Yeah. All right.
No, but,
all right.
I'm a each to their own kind of guy, so if it's what floats your boat, go for it.
Planting by the moon.
Yeah,
I've heard he's not a stranger to mooning in the garden, but that's a whole other story. Portugal Resident apparently published a useful month-by-month guide a couple of years ago. It was based on the Algarve, but useful anyway. I included it in an Expats forum post a couple of months ago, and that's a great reminder. We probably need to put a few more things in the Expats Portugal forum because people love chatting on forums about gardening, and we've overlooked that to a great extent in our urgency when we're live on air. So we'll get a bit more on the forum as well. That's a really good reminder, Louise. Thanks for that. Coming to the end, Lee, is there anything that people should know about this time of year or something you've noticed or wanted to bring up?
Oh, this time of year, harvesting and sowing your second lots.
Yeah.
Here in Portugal, it's time. I've already started harvesting and started to re-sow my seconds. It's just a crazy time of year. Everything's growing, everything's doing well.
Yeah.
It's also bigger bug and disease time here in Portugal. It's when the bugs really start to kick in and when the infections and disease really start to kick in as well.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes out for that. And anything you can find early and deal with early, you save yourself a lot of trouble in the future. Back in the UK, the weather has been crazy this year, hasn't it? You've had a really hot spring, and then you're getting the central summer period is getting really wet. So I can't imagine how it's going there. I imagine it's going really well, actually. So they should be prepping now for their seconds as well. Starting the seedlings off in the greenhouse, starting the cuttings off. Yeah, it's a good time of year. Busy.
Tremendous. Thanks, Lee.
Check your lawn.
Oh, check your lawn.
Check your lawn. Make sure you get enough water. Make sure your water system's working correctly and everything's getting enough water.
Tremendous. There you go. Thank you, Lee. Head Gardener McGrady. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, John. We'll be back again next week at 6:15. Get those pics and voice messages in on 913-590-303. Thank you very much. That's our lot for now. Ciao, ciao.